Gee whiz.
Hello, friends. My name is John Henderson, and welcome to this series of old-time radio show episodes called Gee Whiz. These are the stories of the schemes, trials, and loves of the typical American teenagers, Andy Hardy, Archie Andrews, and Henry Aldrich. In this episode of The Aldrich Family, they mention the Atomic Smasher comic book. I'm pretty sure that's made up for the episode, although DC did have a character called Atom Smasher, but that was in the 80s. It does sound like a real comic book, though. Here is The Aldrich Family from January 13th, 1949.
And now the Jell-O family presents The Aldrich Family.
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
Yes, it's The Aldrich Family, based on characters originated by Clifford Goldsmith and starring Ezra Stone as Henry with Jackie Kelk as Homer. And yes, it's the Jell-O family with its three famous desserts. Jell-O in those 6 delicious flavors, Jell-O puddings with that old-fashioned homemade flavor, and Jell-O tapioca puddings, a miracle of goodness, a marvel of speed.
Everyone's a Jell-O good fellow, a very good Jell-O good fellow, so rich, so tempting and mellow. Jell-O.
And now for the Aldrich family. A boy is a boy, and that's all there is to it. He gets into difficulties somehow, and he gets out of them somehow. But what happens in between is usually unforgettable. The scene opens at the telephone in the Aldrich front hall. It is early evening.
You did, Homer? You really got them?
I'll say I have them right here in my hand.
Gee. And Charlie Clark didn't mind loaning them to you?
No, I just had a promise we'd take good care of them. And, boy, you should...
Just a minute, Homer. Yes, Mother?
Where are you?
Why, I'm just sort of on the phone.
I want you to hang up and start your studying before we leave.
Sure, Mother, in just 1 second. Hello, Homer.
Henry, you should see the notes. There's everything important we learned all last month.
Oh, boy.
Once we get these 10 pages under our belts, we can write that French exam tomorrow blindfolded.
Well, hang on to them, Homer. I'll be right over.
Okay, you better hurry, though. Charlie's going to the movies.
You mean he has all his studying done?
Yeah, but you know Charlie. He's smart, sure. But what else has he got?
You're right, Homer.
And he has to have his notes back as soon as he gets out.
Just a second, Homer. Yes, Father?
Did you hear your mother tell you to get started on your homework?
Yes, sir. The only thing is, well, this fella Homer and I know is going to the movies, see?
Henry, hang up right now. You're not going to the movies tonight.
No, Father. It's only that we have to give something back to him very important.
And you're not going to run any errands. Now, please put down that receiver.
But, Father...
Henry!
Hello, Homer. Goodbye. I've got to explain something to my father. I'll call you back.
Henry, you're not calling Homer back. You have a French examination tomorrow, and every night this week you thought up a different excuse to get out of studying.
Sure, Father, I agree with you. And would you like to know why?
Indeed, I would.
Because I've been saving all my strength up for tonight. Boy, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and tighten my belt and digest the whole French language.
That's fine. And will you please get to work?
The only thing is, Father, I know you'll think it sounds unreasonable, but I just have to go over to Homer's.
Henry, your mother and I are rushing off to a bridge game, and I haven't much time. But I'd like to make one thing clear.
Yes, Father?
Just this. You are not under any circumstances to go anywhere near Homer's house this evening.
But, Father...
You will stay home by yourself and concentrate on your French.
But, Father, won't you please let me explain something?
Henry, let me explain something to you.
Yes, sir.
Son, I don't think you realize how important a solid foundation is.
Sure,
Now,
but...
you take a bridge.
A bridge?
When someone builds a bridge, they hire the best engineers. They spend years on it. And when it's finished, it may be the best-looking bridge in the world.
Gee.
But suppose, Henry, suppose that bridge has a weak foundation. A truck runs over it, and where is it? In the water.
The truck?
Everything. And it's the same with life. You understand?
I think so, Father.
Fine. Now then, please get to work on your foundation.
But Father...
And no more excuses. Oh, excuse me, Mary.
Certainly, Father.
Henry, did I hear Father say someone ran over someone on a bridge in a truck?
No, Mary, gee whiz.
Was it anyone we know?
It wasn't anybody, Mary. And listen, would you be willing to speak to Father for me?
What about?
He just misunderstood the whole thing, see? All I want to do is go over to Homer's house because Charlie Clark has these notes, see, and he's going to the movies.
Homer?
No, Charlie. So would you please, Mary?
Certainly, Father.
Yes, Mary?
Henry wants to know if he can go to the movies with Charlie Clark.
No, Mary, no. Gee whiz, can't you understand French? I mean English?
Henry, come in here.
Now look what you've done, Mary.
Well, my goodness, that's the last favor I'll ever do for you.
Now, Sam, you stay here. Let me speak to Henry.
Mother, can I please explain something to you?
Certainly, dear.
Well, you see, it's like this.
Henry, your father and I would love to let you go to the movies tonight, but...
Mother, you don't understand. I don't want to go to the movies.
You don't?
No, gee whiz. Movies are the farthest thing from my mind. All I want to do tonight is study.
Really?
Over at Homer's house.
Well, then what's everybody so excited about? Sam, all he wants to do is go over to the Browns along with us.
Alice, Henry is not going over to Homer's.
Henry, you are not going over to Homer's.
But, Mother...
Dear, your father and I both feel that tonight you should study at home.
But, Mother, you don't
Alice,
understand.
we're going to be late.
Now, I'm coming, Sam. And Henry.
Yes, Mother.
If you work real hard and pass that French exam, you can go to the movies tomorrow night.
Let me help with the table cover, Will.
It's all set, Sam, and have I been looking forward to tonight? We haven't played bridge for a whole week.
Alice, you and I can start shuffling the cards.
All right.
As I was saying, Will, it's all a matter of discipline.
Shuffling cards?
Raising a son.
Oh. Yeah, you're right, Sam. It's quite a job. Who deals?
Now, Sam, let's not talk about Henry. Now, I feel badly enough about the whole thing already.
What happened, Alice?
Honestly, Elizabeth, I wish you could have seen Henry's face when we left.
Henry's face? What about it?
He was sulking because I made him stay home and study. First, he wanted to go to the movies. Then he had to give Charlie Clark something. Anything to get out of the house.
Well, I'll tell you frankly, Sam, when Homer wants to get out of the house, I'm inclined to let him go.
We'll even go so far as to encourage him.
Isn't that nice?
You mean you encourage him to neglect his studies?
Nobody has to do that. Whose deal is it?
Although, Will, I wish you'd made him stay home tonight.
Oh? Homer's gone out?
Yes. Henry phoned him before you got here, Alice.
Henry phoned him?
Whose deal is it?
Yes, and then Homer phoned the Bijou Theater to find out what time the picture...
Picture? Alice, did you hear that?
Sam, I'm sure there must be some mistake.
Who deals?
Will, do you realize those boys are off to a movie when they should be studying? And after I expressly forbid Henry...
Relax, Sam. What harm can they do? Who deals?
Well, you don't understand unless we do something about this right now.
Sam, you can't possibly do anything tonight.
Oh, yes, I can.
Dear, please sit down and play bridge.
Whose deal is it?
Will, get your coat off.
What?
You and I are going down to the Bijou Theater and catch Henry and Homer red-handed.
Je suis, to a...
Hey, Henry.
Oui, Homer?
Hand me an apple, will you?
Now listen, Homer, I thought we decided to speak nothing but French while we're studying.
I know, but... Well, donnez-moi un pomme de terre.
A potato?
No. What is French for apple?
Apple? I don't remember.
How about banana?
Let me see.
Well, j'ai faim. Hand me something out of that bowl.
Here's an orange.
Thanks. I mean, merci.
And listen, Homer, let's stop fooling around with our stomachs and get to work. Charlie's movie gets out at 10 o'clock.
You mean we only have an hour and a half?
Darn it all. Now I have to waste time answering the phone.
Why not answer it in French and kill two birds with one stone?
That's an idea. Bonsoir.
Hello, what's that?
Qu'est-ce que c'est que vous désirez?
I'm sorry, I must have the wrong number.
Hey, hello? Hey, Homer, that was my father.
It was? Does he want me to go home?
I don't know. He hung up.
You mean he's still mad at you?
Listen, Mary, I'm not speaking to you. Besides, we've got a lot of studying to do.
You know, Henry, if we'd gotten notes like these off Charlie years ago, today you'd be in Princeton and I'd be in Scranton Tech.
Henry, Father's down at the Bijou Theater with Mr. Brown.
And Mr. Brown, that's my father.
Mary, you're crazy. They're playing bridge.
No, they aren't, Henry. I just passed them at the Bijou, and they said they were waiting for you and Homer.
You mean that's why he phoned?
All I know, Henry, is that they're expecting you.
Gee, that's funny.
Homer, maybe we'd better dash right down there and see what they want.
We only have an hour and a half left to study, and my brain's just limbering up.
We can take our notes along with us and study on the way.
But, Henry, it's snowing, and I promised Charlie we wouldn't let them get down.
Well, look, we can put them back in this comic book so they won't get all wet.
But, Henry...
Homer, come on. My father wants to see me down at the Bijou Theater.
Sure.
And after all the trouble I've had this week, I'm playing it safe from now on.
Any luck, Mr. Aldrich?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Harris. We've been up and down your aisle twice, and there's no sign of the boys.
I told you I didn't remember selling them a ticket.
Sam, let's get back to our bridge game.
Look, Mr. Harris, you wouldn't consider putting the house lights on for a minute, would you?
But, Sam, how could we look at the picture?
Well, we're looking for the boy.
Oh, Mr. Harris. Yes, sir. Loge, Oh, it's you. Yes, sir. If you gentlemen will excuse me.
Certainly.
Now, look, I have it right outside my car, Mr. Harris, and I'd like to give you a demonstration. I'm not interested in a demonstration.
Come on,
But,
Will.
Mr. Harris, once you see what this machine...
Thanks for your help, Mr. Harris.
Okay, Sam, let's go.
Let's go where?
Back home and play bridge.
Well, we're going to wait outside the theater here until Henry and Homer show up.
But, Sam, they won't show up now.
I think they will. Aren't there times when you know exactly what's going on in your son's mind?
There are times when I'm sure something's going on.
If we let them get away with this, do you realize where it'll lead?
Well?
The boy grows up and gets a job, and the first thing you know, he's ducking out and going to a movie.
Yeah?
And the next thing you know, he's fired. With a wife and children to support, he's in the breadline.
Sam, that's terrible. Wait till I get my hands on Homer.
I'm sorry. I just don't have the time like that. But, Mr. Harris, I have a wife and children to support.
That's a good example, Will, of what I mean.
Yeah?
I think you'll find that chap didn't worry enough about his foundation.
Is what?
Foundation, Will. What good is a bridge without one?
You're right, Sam. Let's go home and play bridge.
Will.
What?
Here they come. What did I tell you?
Well, I'll be darned.
And buried in a comic book. Henry!
Hello, Father. Hi, Father.
Well, Henry?
Well, Homer,
Father, could you tell me what it is you wanted? We're kind of in a hurry.
you kids are pretty cool, aren't you?
Well, it's snowing, Father.
I don't suppose you recall that you're supposed to be at home studying?
Oh, we've been studying, Father. We've been studying all the way down here.
Sure, you see this comic book?
I see it. Let me have it, please.
Father, wait.
Let me have it. Thank you.
Yeah, but we have to give that back to Charlie.
He's right here in the movie, see? And
Homer, that's a pretty poor excuse.
why?
Henry, I don't want to attract attention by dealing with you now.
Dealing with me, Father? In what way?
I'll attend to the matter tomorrow morning.
Father, what have I done now?
There's a streetcar stopping over there. I want to see you get on it.
Father, listen, we've got to have that comic book.
Homer, get on that streetcar and go home with Henry and finish your studying.
But, Father, what about Charlie?
Henry!
Come on home.
But gee whiz, Henry, what about our notes?
Well, that wasn't a pleasant thing to do, Will, but someday those boys will thank us for it.
Mary, speak louder. I can't hear you. You don't say. You don't say, Mary. You don't say. Here's your father now. You tell the boys to come over here to the Browns and not to worry about a thing.
Come on, Sam, on with the bridge game.
Goodbye, dear.
Well, Alice, I was right.
Oh, you were, Sam?
I sure have to hand it to Sam. He certainly understands boys.
Well, I work hard at trying to understand them, Will.
Well, Sam, you'll have to work a little harder in the future.
What's that?
It so happens that Mary just phoned me and said Henry and Homer have practically gone to pieces over what you did to them.
But all we did...
All you did was take their French notes away from them.
Alice, all we took from them was a comic book.
Sam, they were studying their notes.
At the movies?
Mary told them you wanted to see them down there.
Now, Alice, I've heard a lot of stories, but I hope you don't believe that one.
Sam, the boys had their French notes inside that comic book. And now they have to return them to Charlie Clark.
What's that? What did you say?
Sam, I told you not to toss that comic book into the trash bin.
Now,
The
wait.
trash bin? Sam Aldrich.
Here, Homer, have another glass of ginger ale.
Gee, thanks.
The only thing is, Homer, what time is it?
Now, Henry, you just have another cookie and stop worrying.
But Mother Charlie will be getting out of that movie any minute now.
And I promised him his notes back.
I'm sure your father will be right back with them. Oh, excuse me while I answer the phone.
Listen, Homer, while we're waiting, why don't we go over a few verbs? You know, verbally.
Sure, why not?
Oh, that's a wonderful idea.
And, Mother, would you please help us over a hump?
Certainly. What is it you want to know, Henry?
The first person plural, future tense of the verb to be.
To be what, dear?
Why, just You know, to be. Extra.
Sure.
Oh, that's French, isn't it, dear?
Well, sure.
Yes, I was pretty sure it was French. Well, let's see now. First person, plural, future tense. Boys, wouldn't it do you more good if you figured it out yourself?
Well, we don't remember it.
Alice, guess who that was on the phone? Sam and Will. And boys, I'm afraid they're going to be a little delayed.
Delayed?
Elizabeth, what happened?
Well, they got down to the Bijou Theater, and it seems the trash bin had been emptied.
Empty?
But they said you hadn't anything to worry about, boys. They're going to keep right on looking.
Oh, boy.
And now, while Henry's waiting, it's a good time to listen to Meredith Wilson and his Talking People.
Hey, it's intermission. Intermission.
Okay, everybody knows it's intermission.
How do they know?
Because you're not Homer and I'm not Henry.
Well, you're certainly not Mrs. Aldrich.
No, I'm not. Meantime, here's your chance to shimmer.
Like Jell-O, America's favorite gelatin dessert?
Yes, sir.
In all 6 delicious flavors?
In all 6 delicious locked-in flavors.
It would be a pleasure.
Starting with strawberry,
raspberry,
cherry,
orange, lemon, lime. Jell-O. Oh, there's the big red letters that spell Jell-O. And Jell-O spells a treat.
It sure does, because that rich fruit-like flavor is locked right in there by a special process. So it can't get out to your first delectable spoonful.
Delectable.
And the whole Jell-O family is delectable.
For ease and speed and variety, get the Jell-O family.
Don't say dessert, say Jell-O.
Jell-O puddings. Yum, yum, yum.
Don't say dessert, say Jell-O.
Jell-O tapioca puddings. Yum, yum, yum.
Yep, the Jell-O family of desserts. If you don't want to say it, sing it.
Jell-O. Oh.
And now back to the Aldrich family.
Yes, getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. In his effort to discipline his son, Mr. Aldrich has inadvertently lost the French notes he ordered Henry to study, notes which the boys promised to return to Charlie Clark. The scene opens in the Browns' front hall. It is later that evening.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, is that Mr. Prescott, who teaches French at Central High?
That's right. Who's this?
Well, Mr. Prescott, this is Mrs. Aldrich. Henry's mother?
Henry?
Henry Aldrich. The nice-looking boy with the cowlick?
He's in my French class?
Yes, and frankly, he's having quite a bit of trouble.
Trouble? Oh, yes, I know the boy.
You see, he started in studying his French this evening, and he was buckling right down and taking a real interest in it.
You don't say?
Yes, and then...
Excuse me, did you say Henry Aldrich?
Yes, that's right.
He's taken an interest in French?
Yes, of course.
Well, how did that happen?
What's that? Is this Mr. James Prescott?
Ouch! Will, would you mind looking where you're going?
But the snow's blinding me. I can't see a thing. Where are we, anyway?
Somewhere behind the Bijou Theater.
Sam, are you sure this is where Mr. Harris dumps his waste paper?
Frankly, I'm not sure of anything.
Sam, the whole thing is hopeless. How are we going to find a comic book out here in the dark with all this snow?
We'll just have to keep looking.
But we'll be here all night. You know, Sam, if we stayed home and played bridge in the first place, none of this would have happened.
Now, Will.
Whoop! I'm sorry, Sam. I guess I stepped on you again.
No, you didn't.
I stepped on something. Hey, let me have that flashlight.
Here.
Sam, look.
Will, get your foot out of that bucket.
The only thing is, I can't get it out.
All right, Will, let's not lose our heads. Now then, lift your foot.
Lift it?
So I can get hold of the bucket. All right, now. Brace yourself.
Take it easy, Sam.
Hey, Will, stop dancing around. Now then. Now, pull.
Pull yourself.
Is it starting to give?
No, not yet. Sam, where are you? Sam, where'd you disappear to? Sam!
Homer, isn't that the fastest you can walk?
Well, look, Hen. hold your head back, see, and let the snow blow right into your face.
Homer.
Better still, open your mouth.
Homer, can't you keep your mind on your foundation for 5 seconds?
On my what?
Look, suppose you're building a bridge, see?
Henry, I'm not going in for building bridges on a night like this.
Just suppose you were, Homer, and you had a weak foundation, and then a truck runs over you, and where are you?
Where?
Floundering around the water with a whole bridge on top of you.
Henry, do you feel all right?
Hey, this is Mr. Prescott's house, isn't it?
Let's see. 97. Yeah, this is it. Henry, you're sure your mother knows what she's talking about?
Sure, Homer. Mr. Prescott said all we had to do was come over here, and he'd loan us a whole set of French notes.
Boy.
They'll be much better than Charlie's notes, Homer. I think they're Mr. Prescott's own personal ones.
Boy, imagine. Straight from the horse's mouth.
And all we have to do is make one copy for us and one for Charlie.
Yeah, ring the doorbell.
Sure. And, Homer, don't forget to take your hat off when we get in the hall.
I'm not wearing a hat.
Then brush the snow off your hair.
Well, good evening, Henry, Homer.
Good evening, Mr. Prescott.
Good evening, Mr. Prescott.
I've been expecting you. Come in.
Thank you, Mr. Prescott.
Thank you, Mr. Prescott. Henry, have I got it all off?
What?
My hair. I mean the snow.
Sure, Homer, come on.
Well, boys, I want to tell you that I got one of the most pleasant surprises of my life this evening.
Oh?
Oh?
Here, let me have your coat, Henry.
I know, but...
Thanks. I'll hang it up here. Yes, sir, Henry, when your mother told me how seriously you were taking your French lessons, I said to myself, Prescott, you were all wrong about those boys.
Gee.
Gee.
Now your coat, Homer.
Well, the only thing is, we're sort of in a hurry. And...
Homer, Mr. Prescott wants your coat.
Oh, my coat.
There. Now, come on into the living room, boys. I'll have the French notes for you any minute now.
Any minute?
Here, sit down.
Why, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
You see, I loaned my notes to another student, Charlie Clark.
Charlie Clark?
Yes, and he promised faithfully to have them back to me by 10 o'clock.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
But he phoned only a few minutes ago to say he'd been slightly delayed.
Homer.
Henry.
Was anything wrong?
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 Oh, no. Yes. No.
I want you boys to take good care of those notes. They're a rather valuable set.
Mr. Prescott.
Yes, Homer?
That is... Gee, this is a nice place you've got here.
Thanks. Say, while we're waiting, could I offer you boys a glass of ginger ale?
Ginger ale? No, thanks. We couldn't drink a drop of anything.
Are you sure Henry and Homer didn't show up?
Positive, Charlie.
Oh, but gee, it's after 10 o'clock, and boy, what am I going to do? I promised Mr. Prescott
Well, if you want to wait around another 5 minutes, Charlie, here's something you might like to read.
What?
This comic book.
Atom Smasher Comics?
I fished it out of the trash bin there earlier this evening. Here.
No, thanks, Mr. Harris. I've read it.
Oh, Mr. Harris.
Oh, no, not again.
Look, Mr. Harris, let's be reasonable, huh?
You aren't busy this time of night. Look, what is it you're trying to sell me?
It's one of our new machines, sir. And if I could just give you a quick demonstration.
All right. Where is it?
Out in my car. I'll be right back, sir.
Say, Mr. Harris.
Yes, Charlie?
If you see Henry or Homer, will you tell them to phone me?
Okay, Charlie.
It's a matter of life and death.
Excuse me, Sonny.
I'm sorry, mister.
Now then, Mr. Harris, you see this?
Well, it looks just like an ordinary vacuum cleaner to me.
That's where you're wrong. This is a special vacuum cleaner, special for theaters.
You don't say?
Yes, sir. Now, if we can just find some old scrap paper or anything I can demonstrate with. Oh, how about that Atom Smasher comic book? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to tear it into bits, into tiny bits, and then we'll scatter the pieces all around like this. Quite a mess, isn't it?
It sure is.
And then we'll tear up a few of those chocolate bar wrappers. Chocolate drip into tiny little pieces.
Now, take it easy. If anybody comes out of the theater and sees this mess...
Oh, Mr. Harris!
Mr. Aldrich! Well, what happened to you? You're all wet.
Frankly, I'm ashamed to tell you.
He fell into a snowdrift.
Now, if you gentlemen would like to watch...
Mr. Harris, do you have any sort of a floodlight we could borrow?
A floodlight? Why?
We can't see a thing out here and back here.
All righty, Mr. Harris, here we go.
Well, something very important that we have to find a certain...
Find what, Mr. Aldrich?
Hey, you, turn that thing off.
Watch it, Mr. Harris, watch it. Eat up these scraps of paper. Did you ever see a vacuum... Excuse me, did you ever see a vacuum cleaner eat up paper like that?
Now, Mr. Harris, have you seen anything of a comic book I threw in your trash bin?
A comic book?
It's a matter of life and death.
Mr. Aldrich, I know exactly where you'll find it.
you're copying it down right.
Sure, keep going, Homer.
Les Dukes d'Orleans.
Les Dukes, D-U-C-K-S.
Henry, not Ducks, Dukes.
Oh, sure, Dukes. Okay, what about them?
Sont une famille des plus nobles. Or is it Mobile?
Is it what?
Mobile. You know, as in Memphis.
Anyways, how would I know? What comes after that?
That's the end of the page.
Well, stay here. I'll see if they pasted the next one together. Father! Father, is the next page ready yet?
Just about. Will, let me have the glue.
But I'm using
I
it.
just have to glue on this small piece.
Okay, hand me the magnifying glass.
Gee whiz, Father, it's almost midnight, and we promised Charlie...
All right, Henry, relax. Your French exam doesn't start till 9 in the morning. Mr. Prescott will have his notes by then.
I know,
Here,
but...
here. Here's your next page. It's pretty messy, but...
Thanks, Father. I've got it, Homer.
Sam, there's one thing I still don't
Now, let's be
understand.
careful. You're blowing the pieces all over the living room.
Sam, do you have a scrap that would fit this space?
Well, I've got enough trouble putting together my own pieces.
Dear, was it absolutely necessary for you to buy that vacuum cleaner?
Now, Alice, an extra vacuum cleaner is a very handy thing to have around.
Sure. And besides, this one's different. It's especially for theaters.
Will. Henry, you can't be finished with that page already.
No, but we just copied out the first sentence, and gee whiz.
What's wrong, dear?
Mother, does this make sense to you? Le Premier Duke Chocolate Drip.
What's that?
Beat a la Atom Smasher, voila.
Goodness.
Oh, wait a minute.
Listen, Homer. Listen, voulez-vous... Well, anyway, who you kidding?
Kidding, Henry? Me kidding? I mean, moi.
Sure, how can you bet me 30 cents we'll pass this French exam when I happen to know you haven't got 30 cents?
That's the beautiful part of it, Hen.
What is?
When I win the bet, I'll have 30 cents. N'est-ce pas?
Well, here's a sure bet for you ladies, and that's the hit you make with the family when you serve Jell-O puddings for dessert. Yes, Jell-O puddings. Chocolate, butterscotch, and vanilla. Creamy, rich, and luscious smooth, chock full of old-fashioned homemade goodness. Now, sure, Jell-O puddings are nourishing, made with milk. And sure, they're quick and easy. Cook in about 5 minutes. But the great thing about Jell-O puddings is they taste so swell. And you know that name Jell-O is a trademark, the property of General Foods. And it tells you you're getting a genuine Jell-O product. Remember that when you look on your grocer's shelf tomorrow for Jell-O puddings. And remember, more people buy Jell-O puddings than any other prepared puddings in the world. The Aldrich Family, starring Ezra Stone as Henry, with Jackie Kelk as Homer, is written by Patricia Jowdry and Del Dinsdale, with music by Jack Miller. Mr. and Mrs. Aldrich are House Jameson and Catherine Roth. And this is Dan Seymour in New York saying, the Aldrich Family is brought to you by the Jell-O family.
Everyone's a Jell-O good fellow, a very good Jell-O good fellow, so rich, so tempting and mellow. Jell-O.
Listen again next Thursday, same time, same station, to another sparkling half hour with the Aldrich Family.
That was the Aldrich Family from 1949, and now the Hardy Family from 1952. The Hardy Family started out as a series of movies, like the 1940 film Andy Hardy Meets Debutante.
Are you sure you've got enough money? You know that Club Sirocco
Betsy,
is...
please don't worry. Listen, suppose the dinners are $2. Suppose the dinners are $3.
Oh, but Andy...
Listen, I've got $8 in my bankroll, and with $8 I could buy the Club Sirocco. Good night.
$20, please.
$20?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, thank you. I mean, imagine charging $20 for a little 10-cent dog like that.
So, a debutante is a socialite young woman from a wealthy family who's at the age where she's ready to start dating. You might hear that she's coming out or having a coming out party. That meant that she was coming out of childhood into society and the dating world. Of course, we know that a bachelor is any unmarried man, but when Andy Hardy thinks of a bachelor, he imagines a playboy about town. So here is an episode of The Hardy Family from 1952.
United States Hardware, exclusive distributors for Traveler television sets, brings you now Mickey Rooney, Louis Stone, and Fay Holden in The Hardy Family. Traveler Television is proud to present The Hardy Family, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer motion picture series, which brought delight to millions and reflected the common joys and tribulations of the average American family. And now, by transcription, here are the same great stars in the parts they created on the screen: Louis Stone, Mickey Rooney, and Fay Holden, The Hardy Family. Friends, when you decide on a television set, be sure you decide on a Traveler, America's greatest television value. And here's why. Traveler television sets give you lifelike pictures that are clear and so easy to watch, with a big 16-inch picture tube that makes it possible to see television at its best, even in a well-lighted room. Yes, and only Traveler television sets have push-button tuning, the simplest form of station selection. Just push the button for the station you want, and click. True sound, true pictures pop in instantly. It's so easy to operate, a child can do it. And Traveler television sets in distinctive, conventional, modern console cabinets enhance the beauty of your living room or den. Yes, you get all these quality features in a Traveler for the amazingly low price of only $249.95. But don't let this low price mislead you. Traveler television sets have all the quality features that you would expect to find in sets selling at a much higher price. So before you buy any television set, visit your Traveler television dealer and see, hear, and compare. Then you, too, will decide on Traveler, America's greatest television value.
For some strange reason, the thing that has exerted the greatest influence on my son Andrew during his life has been food. At the age of 8, he decided to leave home one day and see the world. But when dinner time approached, he decided to see enough of the world and was at the table at the usual time. In our home, we set our watches by Andrew's mealtime arrival.
James, was that the front door that's slammed?
Yes, it must be Andrew home for lunch.
Oh, it can't be. The clock says 5 minutes to 12.
Well, then the clock must be 5 minutes slow because Andrew never is at mealtime.
Hiya, Mom, Dad. Oh, what a beautiful domestic picture. The two of you at the table like that. Don't move, Dad, don't move. That's the way I want to remember you. Just like that always.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to go in the living room for a while. You know, we'll be in these same positions tomorrow.
This may be the last time I'll see you like this. I won't be joining you at the dining room table anymore, Dad.
Oh, Andy, you mustn't go on a diet. There isn't enough of you now.
Well, you don't understand, Mom. I've reached an important decision. Dad, I'm going to be a bachelor. Well, I think people around town are beginning to point fingers at me and whisper that I'm afraid to face the world alone, tied to my family's apron strings.
Oh, that's silly. Your father never wears an apron.
No, not a young man. Lots of young men live at home until they're ready to strike out on their own.
But I'm in business now. It's time I had my own place and assume my own responsibilities, Dad.
Well, there's nothing wrong with you staying here as long as we have a room for you and plenty to eat. You know, you save money that way.
That's just the trouble. I'm saving money at your expense.
Oh, but the additional expense is really very little, dear.
Why, we hardly noticed.
No, look, I made up my mind, folks. I know I make a lot of extra work for Mom around here,
Oh,
too.
no, dear. I hardly noticed
So,
it.
so, Dad, if you'll just return the money I've been giving you to save for me, I'll be leaving. By the way, how much have I saved?
Yeah, you hardly notice it.
Oh, well, I know what I've got to do. I've got to live alone and be completely self-supporting.
Well, son, I guess you've made your decision. There's nothing we can do about it.
Oh.
Good luck to you, boy.
Oh, but James, you'll starve to death.
No, Emily, we can't continue to think of Andrew as just a child, no.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, but James, how can you take this so calmly?
Well, I guess once in the life of all parents there comes a moment like this. We've just got to face it.
Well, look at it this way, Mom. You won't be losing a son. You'll be gaining a spare room.
Oh, I just don't feel right about it.
I'll only be living a few blocks away. I've made arrangements to check into the Carnival Bachelor's Club.
Bachelor? Oh, that sounds so wicked.
Mom, all men are bachelors, unless they're married.
No, that's not true. Some of them are widowers.
No, Emily, you mustn't make a fuss about this. Andrew's made up his mind. We'll have to make the best of it. But, son, there's just one thing that does concern me a little.
Oh, what's that, Dad?
Well, I'm a little worried about the money situation.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Well, I hadn't thought about that.
And that's the most important thing you have to consider in making this move.
Yeah, I can see it is now. Tell you what, I'll still keep sending you my $6 a week contribution to the house until you get yourself reorganized, huh?
Oh, Andrew, I wasn't worrying about us. It's you I'm thinking of.
Oh, you mean you think I may not have enough money to get started on, huh?
Yes, that's my biggest worry.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want you folks worrying. You send me $6 a week.
No, I'm afraid we couldn't do that, son.
Well, just let me work everything out, will you? It'll be all right. Well, I better go and start packing now. I'll be moving out in about an hour.
James, we just can't let him do this thing. Why, he won't last a week on his own.
A week? I'll wager he won't last 2 days.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, once when I was very young, I decided to leave home. But I was back home by dinner time the next day.
Oh, really, James? Then you think Andy will be home again by tomorrow night at dinner time?
Emily, I wouldn't be surprised if he beat my time by at least 2 meals.
Oh, hi, Andy.
Oh, Pa. May I come in for a moment?
Oh, sure. As a matter of fact, I was just hoping you'd drop by.
I've got something rather important to tell you.
And so have I. Tomorrow night is the big dance, and I was wondering if you were going to go formal.
Probably for your own good, I'd better cancel that date with you tomorrow night.
Andy Hardy, for your own good, you'd better keep it.
You don't understand, child. People might start to talk about you if you went out with me.
Well, I've been going out with you for a long time, and nobody ever says anything.
I know, but that was before I was a bachelor.
Oh, what?
I just dropped by to tell you that I'm no longer living at home.
Oh. Well, what happened, Andy?
Well, I suddenly realized that it was time I got out on my own. Now that I'm living alone, a single, unattached, extremely attractive bachelor, I'll be in great demand.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I expect you to take me to that dance.
It's starting already. I'll have to fight 'em off with clubs.
What are you talking about? Fight who off?
Well, don't you see? I'll be caught up in a constant social whirl. Debutantes will be clamoring for me. Society will open its doors. This is the way you meet people and make contacts. Why, even on dull nights, they'll want me for a fourth at bridge.
It's going to make all this difference just because you're living alone?
No, I'm not exactly living alone, Polly. I've checked into the Carvel Bachelors Club, a very exclusive place for eligible gentlemen like myself.
And why should this affect us?
Polly, you know the stories people tell about bachelors. I couldn't let you in for anything like that.
Well, I never heard any stories about bachelors.
Oh, they're terrible. There's always some scandal hanging around a prominent bachelor.
Well, there's no scandal around you, is there?
No, but this is just my first day. Give me time.
Well, do you mind if I just hang around you until a good scandal comes along?
No, you've got to understand this, Polly. There'll be gay parties for me, penthouses, yachts. I'll have to meet visiting dignitaries. I'll be traveling strictly with the upper crust from now on, dear girl.
Well, I guess there's always room for one more crumb in the crust.
Now, Polly, look, don't be bitter. This isn't goodbye forever. You'll be reading about me. I'll soon be the most sought-after man in town. Before long, I may be the most popular bachelor in the nation.
Oh, hello, Andy. Come on in.
Thank you, Jim. I came to see you in your official capacity as president of the Junior Chamber of Commerce.
Good. What's on your mind?
I'd like to give you my card, if I may, sir.
Your card?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've known you for years.
I know. I just had these printed. Take one for future reference.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Andrew Hardy, available for meeting visiting dignitaries.
Yes.
Will attend social functions on short notice.
That's right.
Ideal partner for debutantes on their coming out parties.
Oh.
That sounds great, Andy, but there's just one trouble.
What's that?
Well, there aren't any debutantes coming out this year in Carvel.
Oh, I put that one in there just in case. Can't overlook any possibilities, you know.
Oh, yes, I heard you'd checked into the Carvel Bachelors Club.
Oh, have people started talking already?
Well, just one.
I guess the scandal has started. Good. Takes a little scandal to make a bachelor colorful.
Andy, I was just talking to your father.
Oh, well, I just wanted to let you know that I'm available for certain duties and functions now, things that I'm well suited to represent the junior chamber on, you see.
Uh-huh. For instance?
Well, you know that good-looking movie actress who's making personal appearances around the country?
Yeah.
She may stop over here in Carvel.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I'm sure you're aware of my sophisticated and suave manner. And the fact that I'm a very sought-after bachelor.
Well?
Well, just got my tuxedo back from the clean.
Oh, now, wait a minute. If anybody in this Chamber of Commerce is going to meet an attractive movie actress and escort her, it'll be me.
Huh?
Why do you think I bother to be the president?
But look, Jim.
Look, Andy, a single, unattached man like you ought to be able to find a million exciting things to do.
Yeah, you're right, Jim. There'll be other times, huh?
That's the idea.
I'll just go to the club and do what any single man does on a dull night.
Well, what's that?
Wash out a few pair of socks.
In a moment, the Hardy family will return. But first, a word from your announcer. See, hear, compare. Then you, too, will agree no other television set offers you more value for the price than a Traveler television set. That's right, friends. You see, Traveler television sets were designed with you in mind. That's why only Traveler television sets give you push-button tuning, the simplest form of television tuning. Yes, and Traveler thought of your vision, too. That's why they've given you the best 16-inch picture tube ever developed, with no distortions, no flickering. And for a thing of beauty, Traveler television sets come in magnificent hand-rubbed console cabinets, furniture style to enhance the beauty of your living room or den. And remember, you can buy a Traveler television set with a big 16-inch tube in a full-size console cabinet with built-in antenna and exclusive push-button tuning for not $349, not $299, but only $249.95. But don't be misled by the low price. You get all the quality features found in sets selling for $100 more at this low price of $249.95. So why pay more? Decide now on making your television choice a Traveler television set, the family television set. For the name of your nearest Traveler television dealer, call United States Hardware at Angelus 98252. That's Angelus 98252. Call them tomorrow.
And now back to the Hardy family, starring Mickey Rooney, Louis Stone, and Fay Holden.
Well, Andrew was determined to strike out on his own, so there's one less at our house tonight. Emily's still afraid that Andrew won't be able to support himself in the style to which he's become accustomed. But I've always believed the best way to make a young man self-reliant is to let him shoulder responsibilities. And I fully expect Andrew to shoulder his responsibilities right back home before many hours have passed.
Oh, James, I can't get used to that empty chair at the table.
Now, Mother. This is something we both knew had to happen sooner or later.
Oh, well, why couldn't Andy have stayed with us until he got married? Then he'd have someone to take care of him.
Well, Emily, society seems to feel that the husband should take care of the wife.
Oh, then Andy better not marry into society.
Well, I hope now that Andrew's a bachelor, he's enjoying as good a dinner as we are tonight.
Oh, dear, I'm going to have to start to learn to cook all over again. Just look at all those mashed potatoes going to waste.
Yes, well, Emily, maybe it'd be a good idea if we got a dog to take Andrew's place.
Oh, yes, maybe an Airedale. They have hair just like Andy's.
Yes, there is quite a similarity.
The dog could sit in Andy's place at the table and go to the market with me like Andy used to.
Well, there you are, you see. The dog might work out as a substitute for the boy. One thing, certainly, he couldn't borrow any money from me. Of course, I'll miss our little man-to-man talks.
Well, you can have a nice man-to-dog talk.
No, I'm afraid I wouldn't get along very far with that. You see, I don't speak Airedale very well.
Oh, James. No, I'm afraid a dog just couldn't take Andy's place. There's only one solution to our problem.
Well?
You've got to go right down to Carvel Bachelor Club and bring Andy home. Well, I just know he's not happy there.
Well, he's probably not even at the club. Remember, he's a young, eligible bachelor now. Well, he's probably caught up in the social swirl already. Out dining at some lovely home, having a magnificent feast. In any event, I guarantee you that Andrew is not going to starve.
Mr. Fisher, may I ask you a question?
One of the rules of the Carvel Bachelors Club is that nobody speaks loud at the table.
I haven't heard anybody in this place speak, period.
What has a bachelor got to talk about?
Are you kidding? Why, a bachelor's life is gay, exciting, full of romance and adventure. It's carefree.
Have you taken a good look at the fellows around this table?
Yeah, looks like an undertaker's convention. Of course, not you, Mr. Fisher, not you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. It's the food in this place. You'll age 10 years in a week.
I know what you mean. I feel about 5 years older since I had the soup.
That wasn't soup. That was beef stew.
Beef stew? Why, there wasn't a piece of meat in the stuff.
I know. There isn't a stomach in the place that could handle a good husky piece of meat anymore.
Gosh, if the food is so terrible here, why don't you eat out someplace? Out? Sure, get yourself invited to some home for the evening.
Son, the last time one of the fellows from here was invited to a home for a meal, they couldn't get rid of him for 3 weeks. They brought him back here in a straitjacket with gravy still on his chin.
Why, that's awful.
Took us 2 days to get his fists unclenched. And then do you know what we found in them?
Vienna sausages?
Olive pits.
This place is plain murder.
Luckiest fellow here is old man Hayes down there at the end of the table. Doctor advised him not to eat anything.
But you can't live without eating.
In this place, it's worth a try.
Oh, I'm certainly not going to get in that kind of condition. You fellas just don't know the advantages of being a bachelor. You don't know how to operate. Why, you know what? That telephone will probably start ringing here tonight, and I'll have more invitations than I can handle for the evening.
Mr. Hardy, we've got a little something here that we usually save for the younger members.
Huh?
Might give you a pleasant evening.
Well, thanks, Mr. Fisher. Things aren't so dull here after all, huh?
No. Of course, this is a little too strenuous for most of us, but I think that you can take it.
I can take it? What is it?
A very well-preserved photograph of Miss America of 1912.
Ready to go to the movies?
Oh, yes, dear. But I can't help thinking how much Andy used to enjoy going with us.
Yes, I imagine the movies are much too tame for Andrew now.
Oh, dear, I do hope he doesn't get mixed up with too wild a crowd.
Oh, he's a pretty level-headed boy. I don't think we need to worry about him getting into any trouble.
I know, but with all those other wild bachelors, you can't tell what he might be swayed into doing.
Now, Emily, you've got to stop worrying. He's on his own now, and just have to work out his own problems.
I can just see him now at that awful wild club.
No, Emily, don't imagine.
Crowding around a bar with all those other bachelors, singing risque songs and drinking.
We're poor little lambs who have lost our way. We're little black sheep who have gone astray.
Stop it! I can't stand any more of it.
Would you care for another glass of warm milk, Hardy?
No, thanks. I've had enough warm milk now to feed 50 cats.
Shall we do another chorus of the Whip and Pooch song?
No.
We haven't cut up like this for a long time.
Maybe we better not, Mr. Fisher. We don't want to bring the police or anything. Mr. Fisher, are you sure the telephone in this place hasn't been disconnected?
Oh, no. It rang just last week.
Oh, then somebody did get a call.
It was the wrong number.
Look, it's almost 8 o'clock. Somebody better call pretty soon if they expect to find me available for the evening, that's for sure.
Mr. Hardy, it brings a breath of fresh air into the club to have you around.
Oh, thank you.
Say, if you get an invitation to go out, can I listen in on the extension?
Certainly. Yes. I rather expect a call from a Miss Alice Hart. She's one of the year's debutantes, you know. She's coming out tonight.
Coming out awfully late, isn't she?
Oh, well, these social functions don't get started until the wee small hours of the morning, Mr. Fisher.
I was up until 3 o'clock last night.
Oh, a social function?
No, indigestion. But it was thrilling to be up at that hour anyway.
Well, I've got to do something to pass the time here. Isn't there anything to do for entertainment around here?
Jones and Murphy are having a pretty hot chess game over there in the corner.
Well, Mr. Fisher, they're both asleep.
Yes, but when one of them wakes up and makes a move, wow.
Well, don't you ever have a dance here or anything, huh?
We did hold a dance once 2 years ago. We all took rumba lessons for a month, and then when the band showed up, they played waltzes all night.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's too bad.
Oh, we didn't take it too hard. It would have been very difficult dancing with no women anyway.
I wonder why that telephone doesn't ring.
Well, if you'll pardon me, I'll be going to bed.
But it's only 8 o'clock, Mr. Fisher.
Ah, yes. I remember when I first came to this club, too.
Oh, somebody will call. Somebody will call. You'll see. Somebody will invite me out yet tonight.
Sure, sir.
The whole world can't forget a poor, lonely bachelor like me.
One of the easiest things to forget is a bachelor. You don't belong to anybody, and nobody especially wants you. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Hayes. Poor Rosie. He's lost his way.
Polly! Hey, Polly! Wake up, will you?
It's me, Polly. Can I talk to you a minute?
Andy Hardy, what are you doing here at this hour of night?
I've been out doing the town, that's what. I had a terrific night. Hobnob with all the class of Carvel, I did.
Well, I'm very happy for you. Good night.
No, wait a minute, Polly. I've got to talk to you. It's not like you think at all. I didn't tell you the truth. Nobody invited me out tonight.
What? No debutante?
Guess it's not the right season for debutantes to come out. That's why I came over here.
Well, I'm certainly not coming out at this hour.
I've got to talk to someone for a while. It's terrible being a bachelor. I sang the Whip and Poof song so many times, I'm all puffed out. Polly, if you still want me to, I'll take you to that dance tomorrow night and dance every single dance with you.
Go to the front door. I'll be right there. Let me get a coat on.
Oh, swell. Oh, little black sheep, lost your way. Thanks for coming out, Polly.
Did you actually come over to apologize?
In all humility.
And you're willing to give up this idea of being a bachelor?
Well, now I haven't given it a very good chance. I still say if you got
Put your arms around me, Andy.
I still say being an unattached man has its advantages because, you see, when
Kiss
somebody
me, Andy.
No, wait a minute, will you, Polly? I promised to take you to the dance, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to have to... Oh. Wow!
You were saying, Andy?
I was just saying that what has a bachelor got that a single man in his right mind can't have?
In a moment, the Hardy family will return.
Friends, before you decide on any television set, ask yourself this question. what other television set offers a big 16-inch tube for lifelike pictures, push-button tuning for easier station selection, the new improved built-in antenna, and a magnificently furniture-styled full-size console cabinet? All these quality features for only $249.95. Yes, friends, your only answer can be the Traveler television set. Traveler television sets are advertised and sold from coast to coast and are featured by many leading television and department stores. So for America's greatest television value, see your Traveler television dealer. For the name and address of the dealer nearest you, call United States Hardware at Angelus 98252. That's Angelus 98252. Call tomorrow.
And now here again is the Hardy family.
I'm going to wake up the phone.
What's that? Who's that?
Hi, Dad. Hi.
Hello, Andrew. Mother. Mother, no, it isn't a burglar. It's our bachelor's son.
Yeah.
Oh, Andy.
Mom and Dad,
Well, I expected him to be home for dinner tomorrow, but I never thought he'd make this good time.
Oh. But, dear, what are you doing with your shoes in your hand?
Now, Emily, don't ask questions. You were just saying a few hours ago how you wished you could hear Andrew getting up in the middle of the night to go down and raid the refrigerator.
Yeah, that's right. I was just going to raid the refrigerator, huh? Oh, now, I'll bet you both think I'm carrying my shoes because I was trying to sneak back into my room.
Oh, of course not, dear.
Such a thought never occurred to us.
No. Your bed's all turned down, dear.
Huh?
I just pretended you'd be coming in.
Oh, you know what? I ought to have my head examined. I'll be honest with you. Look, I was sneaking back home.
Oh, really?
No.
Yes, I was. This being a bachelor is a lot of malarkey. You read about their exciting lives in the papers, but don't believe it. People may talk about bachelors, but believe me, bachelors have nothing to talk about.
Oh, you poor dear. Well, there's half a roast left in the refrigerator yet. I know you haven't eaten.
I've never been so hungry in my life, Mom. 6 more days at that bachelor's club, and I'd have completed a 7-day diet.
I guess you've learned that home is where the heart is.
You're so right, Dad. I'm never going to leave here again. Not until I get married, at least.
Oh, Andy, that's wonderful.
Yep, this is the greatest place on earth, Mom. And you know something?
What?
I like it so much, even after I get married, I may bring my wife here to live.
The Hardy Family, starring Louis Stone, Mickey Rooney, and Fay Holden, is presented by arrangement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of Conspirator, starring Robert Taylor and Elizabeth Taylor. The Hardy Family is written by Jameson Brewer and Jack Rubin, based on characters created by Arania Ruberall. Direction is by Thomas A. McAvity. Original music was composed and conducted by Jerry Fielding. Supporting cast included Eleanor Tannen, Earl Ross, Jack Moyles, and George Neese. Your Traveler television dealer, in cooperation with United States Hardware, invites you to listen to another transcribed half hour with the Hardy Family. Next week, same time, same station.
That was the Hardy family from 1952, and now back to the Aldrich family. In this episode, they say that Henry saw a movie called Dinner at the White House. Now, like the earlier comic book, as far as I can tell, there was no movie called Dinner at the White House. But it might have been referring to a filmed segment that played before a feature, perhaps a newsreel about fancy dinners that they held at the White House. Or maybe it was just made up for the episode. So here is the Aldrich family from January 20th, 1949.
The Aldrich family, based on characters originated by Clifford Goldsmith, and starring Ezra Stone as Henry, with Jackie Kelk as Homer.
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
The
memory of our youth is a priceless possession. And whenever it starts to fade, there's no quicker way to brighten it up than to join the company of a teenage boy like Henry Aldrich. The scene opens in the Aldrich kitchen. It is almost dinner time.
Henry Aldrich. I know, Mother, and I agree with you. It's perfectly ridiculous for us to have a butler.
My goodness.
Especially this late. But couldn't we at least have finger bowls?
Henry, I'm using my best napkins, and that's as far as I'll go.
Napkins, Mother? Just plain, ordinary, everyday napkins?
Dear, they're hem-stitched and monogrammed.
Alice, do you know where the evening paper is?
Gee whiz, Father, aren't you even dressed yet? It's nearly time.
Certainly I'm dressed.
You mean you're not wearing your best suit tonight?
Henry, if this suit is good enough for my business associates, it's certainly good enough for Kathleen Anderson.
I know, but... Mother, I just got another wonderful idea. Why couldn't Mary wait on table?
Henry!
What's that?
And eat in the kitchen? Henry, I'm surprised at you.
Why not, Alice? We could buy Mary a maid's uniform and let her earn her keep.
Now, Sam.
Sure. Father's got the right idea.
I've often said children should work their way through the home.
Sure.
From now on, Henry, you can be the upstairs maid.
Yeah, what?
Sam, will you please stop joking? In the first place, Henry, Mary isn't even going to be here for dinner.
Mother, is that candles you're getting out?
Yes, dear.
Gee, that's swell. Could we serve them in gold candelabras?
But I don't own any gold candelabras.
You mean after all your years of drudgery, Father's never bought you any?
Now, see here.
Dear, we have these very nice silver candlesticks.
Oh, sure. And I don't mean they won't be fine, but do you happen to know anyone we could borrow gold ones from?
Not without putting up collateral.
Collateral?
And, Henry, what I plan to do just before Kathleen gets here is to bring in all our collateral and put it right in the center of the table.
Gee whiz, Father. Now you're kidding.
Henry, please go in the dining room and put the chairs around the table.
That's a good idea. And I'll give Kathleen the one with the good bottom.
Fine.
And don't go away, Mother, because I just got another idea.
Alice, may I ask what's brought on all this?
Dear, it seems that Henry and Kathleen saw a movie at dinner at the White House. And Kathleen was so impressed that Henry invited her to have dinner over here.
I see.
He felt it was the only democratic thing to do.
Mother!
Excuse me, I think I'll go and sit on the balcony.
But, Sam, we don't have a balcony.
All right, Alice, I'll build one.
What?
Mother, did you know you didn't set enough places at the table?
Dear, of course I did. Mary's going out, so that leaves just 4 of us.
But what about Homer and Agnes?
What about them?
Where are they going to sit?
Henry.
Gee whiz, you mean I neglected to tell you I more or less invited Homer and Agnes to dinner, too?
But, Henry, do you realize I've made individual chicken pies, and I only made 4 of them?
Well, gee, couldn't you just whip up a couple more? Made with canned salmon?
Henry, do you mean you definitely invited them?
Sure, because Homer's loaning me a bowl of fruit.
What for?
To put in the center of the table.
Now, dear, we have plenty of fruit without borrowing any from Homer.
Sure, but what he's bringing is wax, the real stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
And Homer wouldn't bring his fruit unless it included Agnes.
But, Henry, look at it this way. Would Homer and Agnes be invited to dinner at the White House?
No, gee whiz.
Well, then.
But neither would we. Oh, boy, there's Kathleen now.
Would you like me to go to the door?
You, Mother, in a thing like your apron? Well, I'll get it, Mother.
Dear, don't run. You'll get all flushed.
Well, I'm not running. Only, where's my comb? Where's my comb? Oh, here it is. Oh, boy, Mother, where's the mirror?
Henry, your hair looks fine.
It's all over my face.
Here, let me help you.
Oh, gee whiz, Mother, where's my coat? I haven't got my coat on.
Henry, it doesn't matter.
It was here in the living room.
Dear, please answer the door.
And let Kathleen walk right in on my shirt sleeve. Oh, here it is. Only, gee whiz, where's my sleeve? Where's my sleeve? I'm okay.
I'll be out in the kitchen.
Hello,
Henry, what took you so long?
Father, what are you doing out here?
I stepped outside to get the evening paper and the front door locked on me.
What? But where's... Gee, I even combed my hair.
Is that why your face is all red?
Gee whiz, no, I just got overheated. So maybe I'd better just slip out of my coat for a minute.
Don't throw it, Henry. Hang it up.
Sure, Father, I was just going to. Oh, boy, there she is now. Father, will you please hand me my coat?
It's only Homer.
Homer?
I saw him coming up the street.
Oh, why should I bother with a coat just for Homer?
You mean you don't want it?
No, thanks. Kathleen.
Good evening, Henry.
Gee, how did you get here?
I walked.
I know, but I don't... Well, I'm sorry about my shirt sleeve.
Oh, my goodness, did I get the wrong night?
No, gee whiz, come on in.
Oh, thank you.
Boy.
Thank you.
May I take your hat?
I don't have any hat, Henry.
Oh, sure. Gee, Kathleen, how are you anyway?
Just fine, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Want you to come in the living room?
All right.
I'll just slip into my coat. There. Would you like to sit down?
All right.
Our sofa has one loose spring in it, as you'll eventually notice. But the chair you're getting at the dinner table is in excellent condition. See, you couldn't smash it with an axe.
Really?
And boy, Kathleen, is my mother excited over your being here. All she's done today is talk about Kathleen.
Oh, my, I hope she was saying something nice about me.
Boy, I'll say she was. You know what she was even discussing just a few minutes ago? Finger bowls.
Really? We're having finger bowls?
No, chicken pot pies.
That's my favorite thing.
Really? Have you ever had it made with salmon?
Chicken mixed with salmon?
No, just salmon.
That sounds very interesting, Henry.
Sure. But a person like Homer would never know the difference then.
Henry, did I tell you how much I've been looking forward to having dinner over here tonight?
Gee, you have?
This is the first date we've had in about 2 months that Homer hasn't tagged along on.
What?
And not that I've minded, Henry. Homer's really a very nice boy. But frankly, and that Agnes Larson, my goodness, I've never been so glad to get away from 2 people for one night in my life.
But Kathleen...
Every place you and I go, they want to go.
Kathleen, listen.
Yes?
Well, what I mean is, look, I don't think you understand Homer.
I don't think anybody does. How could they?
They couldn't?
Well, he's always seemed to come in between us. Frankly, Henry, sometimes I can't help but get the idea that, well, you think more of Homer than you do of me.
Kathleen! Gee, that's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Oh, I know that now, Henry.
You do?
After you invited me over here to dinner just so we could get away from him.
Well, look, before we go any further, could I explain one thing to you?
Hey, Henry. My goodness, Homer's affecting me so I imagine I hear his voice.
Kathleen, could I please tell you something?
Oh, where's everybody? Oh, here you are.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, Homer, imagine.
Listen, Henry, what are you so surprised about?
I'm not surprised. Hi.
Hi, and boy, Henry, wait till you see what I have for you in this bag.
Homer.
It's my mother's wax fruit.
Yeah? Homer, could I speak to you?
The only trouble is my father left it on the radiator, and the banana's sort of gotten out of control.
Well, look.
And the apple is practically shriveled up. But don't worry, Hen. My father says it's the best imitation of a baked apple he's ever seen. Look.
Homer.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, Agnes can't come.
Who can?
Agnes can. She fell asleep by an open window and got a crick in her neck. Hi, Kathleen. Would you please shove over a little?
Why?
So I can sit down among you and Henry.
Homer, could I please speak to you in the next room a minute?
Oh, boy. You mean dinner's already?
Dinner?
Let's see.
Henry,
listen, Kathleen.
Not 2 minutes ago didn't you tell me that Homer wasn't...
Who, me?
Kathleen, I never said he wasn't. It was you.
It was? I wasn't what? Kathleen? Henry? What are you both so upset about? Is it because Agnes couldn't come or because my banana melted? Kathleen?
I put the salt in the potatoes, Mrs. Aldrich.
Thank you, Kathleen.
What can I do now?
Not another thing, dear. And dinner won't be ready for another half hour. Why don't you just go back into the living room with Henry?
Well, Mrs. Aldrich, would you be very hurt if I just stayed out here?
In the kitchen?
Well, as I said, Henry and I... Well, I just feel that you need some help.
Kathleen, sit down.
Yes, Mrs. Aldrich.
Now, dear, I think I know what's happened between you and Henry. But do you really think you'll gain anything by staying out here and turning your back?
But I have my pride, Mrs. Aldrich.
Dear, would you mind if I gave you a little heart-to-heart advice?
Well, no.
There's one problem that every young woman, in fact, every woman of any age, has to face sooner or later.
You mean?
And that's how to get rid of the undesirable friends of... Well, I'm sure your mother had to face it with your father. And I had to... that is...
You had to do the same thing with Mr. Aldrich?
Now, dear, I didn't say that. But you might as well learn how to cope with the problem right now.
Yes, Mrs. Aldrich.
Now, as a general rule, as soon as you tell a man not to do something, you can be pretty sure he'll do it.
Really?
And the more you object to his friends, the more he's going to continue seeing those friends.
My goodness.
Yes, that's men for you, Kathleen. As nice as they are, they're born with that streak in them.
You don't say.
So my advice to you is to go back into the living room and be nice to Homer.
Nice to Homer?
Just as nice as you can be. Perhaps even a little nicer than you are to Henry.
Oh, no.
Believe me, Kathleen, I'm more experienced in these things than you are.
Do you mean that I can count on Henry to get jealous?
Absolutely. And before you know it, he'll be asking Homer to leave.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, go on back in the living room while I see what the potatoes are doing.
Well, I know, but...
Go on, dear, and good luck.
Oh.
Oh.
I didn't realize there was anyone in the dining room.
I'm just having sort of a discussion with my father.
Good evening, Kathleen. It's nice having you here.
Thank you, Mr. Aldrich. I'm sorry if I disturbed you.
Is she gone, Father?
Yes, you can turn around now. Isn't she speaking to you?
No, Father. And don't you agree she's being unreasonable? Especially since I'm giving her the chair with a good bottom.
Well...
And since I even spent an hour washing all the windows here in the dining room, just so she'd have a swell time tonight.
Well...
Don't you, Father?
Frankly, I'd rather not get involved.
Oh, gee. Maybe if I explained to Homer in a nice way, he'd go home without any hard feelings.
Now, hold on a minute.
Yes, Father?
Frankly, Henry, I'd hate to think that any son of mine would ever let a woman walk all over him.
Sure, but...
Now, if you let Kathleen get the upper hand now, she'll never have the proper respect for you.
She won't?
There's one thing, son, that every man has to stick up for above all else, and that's his right to his own friends.
You mean...
Yes, Henry, I had to be firm with your... Well, what I should say is every man has to put his foot down once in a while.
You mean you had to be tough with Mother?
No, Henry, I haven't been tough. I've merely been firm with her. And she's been a happier wife for it.
See, now that you mention it, Father, she does seem awfully happy. Listen to her singing out there.
Certainly. Now, my advice to you, son, is to march into that living room there and put your foot down on the subject of Homer.
You think so?
Simply assert your right.
When Kathleen's my guest?
Isn't Homer also your guest? Before you know it, Kathleen will be eating out of your hand.
You mean I should ask?
Not ask her, Henry. Tell her. Now, go on.
Sure. Gee whiz, maybe you're right. Kathleen?
That's the idea.
Kathleen, you just see here.
Henry, before you speak to Kathleen, could I have a word with you out in the hall?
Sure thing.
Come on.
What is it, Homer, old-timer?
Henry, don't call me old-timer. I can't stand it.
Listen, Homer, I just want you to know I'm putting my foot down.
You are?
There's one thing we men have got to do, and that's assert our rights.
Henry, listen. You're looking at a heel.
You? Homer, you're my best friend.
Sure. That's what makes it so terrible.
What do you mean? And
Henry, you're looking at a guy that just kissed his best friend's girl.
And if anybody... What?
Sure.
You kissed Kathleen?
Go on, Henry. Hit me.
Right under my own roof?
Go on.
Put up your deuce and defend yourself, Homer. Come on, defend yourself.
Okay, I'll defend myself. But my heart won't be in it.
Getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. Due to a slight misunderstanding with Kathleen, Henry accepted some advice from his father and went to work hoping to patch things up. Kathleen, however, was acting on advice from Mrs. Aldrich, and the result was a black eye for Homer. The scene opens in the Aldrich living room. It is a few minutes later.
Henry!
Yes, Father?
Who were you speaking to on the phone?
Well, I just called the Browns, Father, to see if they could accommodate Homer for dinner.
What's that? You're trying to get rid of Homer?
Well, considering the way Kathleen feels about
Henry,
him...
I thought you were going to assert your rights as a man.
Sure, Father,
Just because Kathleen doesn't happen to care for Homer.
Father, that isn't my trouble anymore.
No.
No, gee whiz, I didn't know when I was well off.
What do you mean?
Boy, do you know where Kathleen is right now? Up in the medicine chest, giving all her attention to Homer's eye.
What happened to Homer's eye?
He forgot to duck.
What's that?
Oh, and look, before I forget, when I was talking to Mr. Brown, he said he had 2 tickets for the fights tonight.
He did?
Sure. So I said, of course, you'd like to go with him.
Well, Henry, you shouldn't have.
You mean I said the wrong thing?
No, only I really ought to ask her mother first.
Ask her, Father?
That is, tell her.
Tell me what, Sam?
Oh, Alice. Alice.
Yes, dear. Kathleen, would you help me untie my apron?
Oh, of course, Mrs. Aldrich.
Well, everybody, dinner's ready.
Alice, you won't mind, will you, if I get out from under your feet right after dinner?
Oh?
I thought I'd go to the fights with Will Brown.
Of course not, dear. I don't mind.
Good.
Only you're never really under my feet, Sam, and we'd all be very glad to have you here after dinner.
You'll have a better time without me.
Frankly, dear, I don't see how we can entertain Henry's guests.
Alice,
Yes, Sam?
Henry, what are you staring at?
Who are you? I'm just tying my shoelace.
Well, please tie it in the living room.
Sure, Father.
And Kathleen, is there something you want, dear?
Why, no, Mrs. Aldrich.
Then suppose you go help Henry with his shoelace.
Well, I'd be glad to, only...
Alice, I'm sorry, but you'll just have to get along without me.
Sam, you can't possibly walk out from the whole evening.
Alice, why not?
I'll give you several good reasons.
Henry, will you please go all the way out of the room?
After the way I've slaved and worked over this dinner.
Now, Alice, calm down.
Kathleen, will you and Henry please run along?
Come on, Agnes.
Mother, let's go.
But you've got to get out of bed and come over to the Aldriches.
But what about my crick?
Your what?
My crick in my neck. I can't move my head.
Agnes, nobody's asking you to walk over there on your head. Besides, Agnes, I need you.
Well, my goodness, Homer, I never knew you really cared.
Sure I do. Boy, when I got this black eye, all I could think about was good old Agnes.
No kidding.
Sure.
No kidding.
Sure.
Who gave me the black eye?
Never mind, Agnes. Only, boy, I just double-crossed my best friend.
You did?
Sure. I can't trust myself any further than I could throw me.
What?
And then all of a sudden I said, boy, if there's one person who can keep me under her heel, it's good old Agnes.
Homer, you're sweet.
So I don't dare go back to the Aldriches without you. Come on.
But, Homer, don't you understand? I'm sick. And besides, we're just going to have dinner.
You are?
And we're having my favorite dish, barbecued pork chop.
Barbecued pork chop?
Sure.
Oh, boy. Why didn't you tell me that you were that sick?
What?
Boy, the only thing for me to do is stay here and look after you.
Father.
Yes, Henry.
Won't you at least speak to Mother so we can eat dinner?
I'm perfectly willing to speak to your mother.
You are?
Just as soon as she speaks to me.
Did you know she's going up to her room? And dinner's getting cold.
I'm afraid I'm not very hungry. But you and Kathleen can go ahead and eat.
Well, the only trouble is
What?
she won't speak to me.
Why not?
Because I beat up Homer. Only, Father, I hardly touched him. And she was 1 minute, and then the next minute she... Boy.
Yes.
And frankly, Father, I can't say your advice helped.
Yes, I realize that now. But, son, the main thing we men have to remember is never to give in.
Sure, Father.
And when our first plan doesn't work, then we have enough sense to change our tactics.
Yes, sir.
Get your coat on. Here's what we're going to do next.
Now then, Kathleen, suppose we sit down?
All right. Only, where do you suppose Henry and Mr. Aldrich went?
Dear, I don't know, and frankly, I don't care.
You don't? Well, then naturally, neither do I.
You and I are going to enjoy our dinner, Kathleen, just the two of us. We're going to have the time of our lives.
Of course. We'll have a much better time without... My, the chicken pot pies smell lovely.
Thank you, dear.
Do you know what they remind me of?
What?
Henry.
What's that?
He's so crazy about them.
So is Mr. Aldrich. My, how that man eats.
Henry does, too. I made him some brownies once, and do you know how many he ate?
No, dear.
Well, he ate so many, he had to go home right after.
Now, Kathleen, don't cry into your pot pie. No, of course not. Now then, may I have your plate? And would you mind answering the phone, Kathleen, while I serve?
All right.
Hurry back, dear.
Hello?
Hello, is that you, Kathleen?
Yes?
Guess who this is?
Homer, I can't waste time being nice to you now.
Why?
Henry isn't here to listen, so it won't count.
Huh? Well, look, I have bad news for you.
What is it?
I won't be able to make it for dinner dinner.
I thought you said bad news.
I have to take care of that cricket in the nickel bag.
Oh, what are you eating?
Just a pork chop. And look, when are you and Henry going out together next?
Well, we were going to go skating on Saturday.
Okay, I'll see you over at the rink.
What?
So long.
But Homer! Oh, my goodness! Mrs. Aldrich! Yes, Kathleen, was that phone call for me? No, but my goodness, everything's just going from worse to terrible.
Now, Kathleen, you just sit down and stop worrying.
Mrs. Aldrich, I followed your advice, and where am I? I've driven Henry out of his home, and Homer's still tagging along.
Now, dear, just because Henry and Mr. Aldrich have gone out for a while, well, there's nothing to worry about.
There isn't?
When men do that, it simply means they're sulking. They'll come back, Kathleen, on their knees.
Really?
If they were doing anything they felt had to be covered up, they'd have sent flowers.
They would?
Then we'd really have something to worry about.
My goodness.
See, Kathleen, what did I tell you? Here they are now.
Are you sure, Mrs. Aldrich?
Sam was locked out once before tonight.
Oh, Mrs. Samuel Aldrich?
Yes?
Acme Flower Shop. These roses are for you.
What?
And is there a Miss Kathleen Anderson here?
Boy, Father, just feel that air.
It's the same air you've been breathing all day, son.
It tastes better somehow.
I know what you mean. Everything looks better after you've looked a problem straight in the eye and licked it.
I'll say. They sure are, aren't they?
Who?
Women.
What?
A problem.
I suppose so, Henry. To any man who hasn't learned to use his head.
Boy, Father, and to think for a while today I doubted you.
You actually did.
Sure. But, boy, after this, I'll always know who to go to for advice.
That's right, son. You can always profit by listening to someone who's had more experience than you've had.
Well, here we are home again.
I'll go in ahead of you, Henry, and we'll let your mother apologize first.
Okay.
Oh, Alice, I'm home.
So am I, Kathleen.
Alice? Alice?
Mother, we're home.
So I see. Kathleen, have you got your coat on?
Yes, Mrs. Aldrich.
Well, Alice?
Don't bother trying to explain, Sam. It won't do you any good.
What's that?
And Henry Aldrich, don't you ever speak to me again.
Who, I?
Come along, Kathleen. We'll be late for the movie.
Alice? Alice!
Kathleen.
Well?
Gee whiz, how do you account for a thing like that?
Why,
Boy, Father, what do we do now? Change our tactics again?
Henry?
Yes, Father?
I've given you a good deal of advice today, based on years of experience.
Yes, sir.
Now I want you to forget every word of it.
What's that, Father?
When it comes to handling women, Henry, I have only one last piece of advice.
Yes, Father.
Don't accept any from anyone.
Listen again next week, same time, same station, for another sparkling half hour with your favorite youngster, his family, and his pals. The Aldrich Family, starring Ezra Stone, is written by Clifford Goldsmith.
Thanks for listening to Gee Whiz. I'm John Henderson. If you want to find out more about me, you can email jackbennypodcast@gmail.com or find me on Twitter @thisdaybenny.